press. So you have to smooth all those edges down. And then, when I went to school, we had the old-fashioned traditional mediums. You would put a coating like this on top, and then you would scratch your design in, and then you would put it in the acid bath. And should we go through the acid bath? All this time filing the edges before he got wealthy enough or could afford to, get some interns to do it. But that takes a really long time, sitting over there and just hand filing it so it's nice and smooth, so it's not going to make any marks in your blanket or rip your paper. So that would be the first step. And then you could do different things. For example, a dry point is where you don't use any other chemicals, you just carve. So that's what that is over there on the two parrots. So that's a dry point, it's just carving, nothing else. Yeah. You take a needle and you hold it like a pin and you just draw. That's it. That have different shapes. If you want a V or if you want a U shape or how wide the line is going to be.
Right.
So there's different tools. Traditionally for dry point and copper, you use something that looks like a needle and it's called a burn. So you would put it in a bath like this, although in those days and when I was still a student, it was more like a big tray, which meant that if you weren't careful, if you didn't go in like this, you would splash your face. Yeah, they've really cleaned things up here so that now it's really dummy-proof. You would just put 2 clips on this end and then put it down and pull it back up, and there's no way you're going to get splashed with that.
And how many times would you have dipped that? Several times?
It would depend, yeah. Probably, like Rembrandt, he did 5, 8, 12 states. Because the more you bite it, the richer the black. Okay. Yeah, you have to scrape the ink on the surface, and then using a circular motion, first with tarlatan, which is a woven rough fabric, and then with newsprint, and then with your hand, to lift off just what's on the surface here and not lift out what's in the carving.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's very the
tagginess
of it. But I loved that. I loved that.
That's good that you did.
I did. I loved that smell. It felt like it was a real print. I liked the idea that what I was using is the exact same thing, the same recipe that an artist was using from, 1560. There was something very romantic about that. So now it's a little harder to get into the swing of thing, but I have to admit that when it comes time for cleanup, I'm delighted. I'm delighted it doesn't take me 2 hours to clean it up, and that I don't have to package it up and put it in the trash can with the tight-fitting lid, because it's considered a air pollutant.
Right.
And I like the fact that I don't have to worry if there's kids around that they're inhaling something that's going to be really bad for them. And some of these 5 layers, they'll be a collector's item because no one will be using
phone books.
Phone books, yeah.
You can't find anything in them.
Right, that's really hard too.
I use my computer. I don't even.
Isn't it handy? It really is. Right. It's really handy. You can see the hours. So you just want to pick up the top layers of ink, and you can feel the surface through. So I'm just using the meaty part of my fingers. And for those who might have sensory issues, I have the box of Cheesehead Dave's gloves. If there is anyone here. Cheesehead Dave? Yeah.
It's important this week.
Yes. Yeah. And you can see that the wiping process is extremely time-consuming. There are no shortcuts, because if you press too hard, if you gouge into the surface, you're lifting off too much ink, and you kind of have to start over. You would probably of your palm or thumb. You can smooth out the ink so it's more uniform, and lift off anything extra that's just going to be too heavy. And I can feel it's a little heavy up here by my trees.
So you have to do this every time you want.
You have to do this every time. And if I...
So, docents now mixing some paint. What? No, Mitch didn't get to go to the game.
Does this make it cute?
You did not?
Now do we have Schmickes as a docent now? Because we did this?
Okay, now
Homer didn't even get to go to the game.
No, I think
You can get in the
try
game
and just
there.
thin it out just a little bit so you don't have too much on there. It might be easier if you use this one because it has the flat edge for you. It's kind of hard to get enough pressure in.
Now, these are three very traditional printmaking papers that are that have been used for hundreds of years.
And why are you doing that?
I think the ink adheres a little bit better when the paper's wet than if the paper is dry.
Okay.
And where did you go to school? I started at Oshkosh and I finished at Carroll. And I've also taken workshops at Columbia. And a long time ago when my dad used to have open studio Saturday mornings, I would go up there. And at that time, Dorota Biso was the monitor. And then she opened a print shop. And that's where we got our other press, over there, because then she decided to go back to Poland, and she wanted to know how to do. Yes, the plate and the paper are in there.
And then the blanket goes over?
And then there's 3 blankets, and when it comes out, we want to have enough pressure. This, I have it set a little tight right now because it was too loose before. That's always a learning curve. And the plexi is a little thicker than the Sintra. But you want enough pressure so that you have a plate mark. So you see the edges of the plate. Not so much that you put a hole in your paper. That would be too much. But you can almost see an embossed surface. Because the plexi, using that Dremel tool, I did get much deeper than my Sintra with just carving it with a needle. So it's still very dark, but you can kind of see the figures emerging.
Now what if you
And you
tried to
can-
print?
Robin is now printing.
Yep. So that is going to make more pressure, where you felt that you hit the edge of the plate, and then you're going to feel where the edge of the plate ends. And there's a fine line between your pressure too much. Yeah. And we'll find out.
See what it looks like.
It's a little different from the one I was using. But we want to seal the edge, a plate edge, which we did see. Very nice. And look at that texture.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that texture is very pretty.
Yeah.
It's neat. Who
I
did
do
that?
like it. Yeah. So now you can roll on the top if you want to add some green there and put, if that's going to be a moon or a sun, you could take the roller and go on top and we'll print it again. You don't have to do that first step again.
So what's this one?
Don't leave the burning bush. Are you going to do the unveiling?
Yeah, I'm good, but yeah. Let's see. The
Oh, I love the
burning
tones
bush.
on
Look at
there.
that.
Look at
Oh, wow.
That's very nice.
You can't
I'm
I
gonna
do
make
like
it
that textured background.
It again.
I'm going to.